Welcome to the Ignorance is Strength podcast. I'm your host, Fabian motherfucking Ojeda, and I don't know shit, but that's okay. All right, let's get this shit started. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Ignorance is Strength podcast. Hope you all enjoyed the previous episode, but I'm back today with the very familiar voice. Larry, you've been on 4 times. I want to welcome back Larry Hankin. How you doing, man?
So far, so good.
I think I need to make you like an official co-host at this point, man. Four appearances.
I know, recurring. It's called a recurring in TV.
There you go. I think 1 or 2 more, you'll be on here more times than you were on Friends.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, which is it's funny, you know. I think we've talked about a lot of your career already. Your previous book and stuff like that. People really seem to like that Friends stuff, man. I know. I think I told you, and one of my clips that people like to mention to me a lot is where I mentioned I never liked Friends, and you're like, me neither.
Well, I don't watch television. I now, I mean, okay, since then, but now, right now, I don't really watch television. I don't go on the internet. Anything where I can't talk face to face, I'll use the phone. The phone is okay. But man, I'm out. I'm off the grid.
Yeah.
Now this is why, and I'll leave it open for discussion. But I've heard from a lot of different places that the world's children's IQ is getting lower, and it started when the iPhone first came in like 21, 22, 23, 2011.
Yeah, 2011. iPhone, I think, was around maybe 2010-ish at the latest.
Yeah, and then it started so they traced it back to then, when all of a sudden it just started to go, no. Whoop. And in the last year or two, I have just like very slowly it's tough to, get off because of email. I mean, that's just so much crap.
Yeah.
I call it crap.
Hey, I mean, I'm a little meaner. I call it a bunch of bullshit, but
okay, I'll go along with that. Fine. But that is getting more and more. And so I find even my mail, even my snail mail, man. I mean, because of the election, man, like I would say 90% of my mail now is just spam. It's just election stuff and advertising. So I don't think, they said in 2011 or whenever, they said, well, it's going to change everything. We're going to go paperless. It's going to be easier. No, man. I mean, it's not easier. No, that's bullshit.
I think having been in education for a while, you mentioned the kids' IQs going lower and lower and lower. They don't know how to format a sentence. They don't know how to speak to each other. They have so much anxiety that they can't speak face to face.
Exactly. Anxiety. Yeah, it's going up. So I mean, I don't know. And on this latest book I'm writing, I just finished it last night. So I mean, the other one that you were talking about is That Guy. That's just like show business stuff. Oh, I just found out an interesting fact this morning. I went on Amazon just to see if it was selling. It's selling. It's got great reviews. It's really great review. But it turns out that the most people who buy my book, this is really weird because I didn't have the connection, is people who want to be directors are buying my book more than any other people. And it turns out I found out the reason was because in my show business, it's just about my career in show business from when I first started to now, or a couple of years ago. That I speak a lot about, my movies and the television that I do, and they buy it because they want to see what the director was telling me. It's the directors, people who want to be directors. And as an actor, I talk a lot about my relationship with directors in each show. And they buy it because they're doing, I mean, that's like real research because I would never think to buy a memoir of an actor because I wanted to be a director. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't seem, but when I found out and I looked at my book and I said, oh, yeah, I talk a lot about directors. I never noticed it. I just wrote what I wrote.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that, but the new book is more about the not so much the loss of IQ and intelligence of people.
Hmm.
Basically, children are people. They're going to grow up and they're going to be stupider than when I was a kid.
Hmm.
And I thought it would be the other way around, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, the new book is about it's a fiction. So
Okay.
it's just stories. It's not about me it's a fiction, but it's about how long human Homo sapiens are going to be around. It's just how long do we have? Everybody's given a different, like and with different facts, right?
Hmm.
Basing it on, well, I heard this. Yeah, but I heard this. But me personally, I don't think we have long to go before we just stupid out. Just,
Well, you might be right, man. Everything on TV is like the as far as or even video games, like the most popular media right now is all post-apocalyptic, stuff.
yeah, I mean, it's just the thing. It's the thing. Hey, we're
Uh-huh.
going to become extinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like bubblegum.
Right.
Just yeah, well, yeah, sure. But I hear that kids nowadays are a lot more anxiety prone than when I was a kid.
Well,
I
yeah. I
mean,
mean,
good.
not to I'm not making light of it. This is actually statistically speaking, and having actually experienced this in family twice within the last few years, the suicide rates for kids are going up as well.
Yeah,
you know
yeah. I mean, it's that kind of information that I'm getting. See, I watch a lot of like Nova and science stuff, astronomy and the NASA. I watch the NASA channel. It's
Mhm.
really cool. But so it's all pointing to, uh, well, let me put it another way. I watch different things for different amounts of time.
Mhm.
I'll tune in and then I'll tune out, or I'll stay with it. But it's not like orderly. It's
Right.
very all over the place. So I find out little facts that are obscure that not many people see, and then I find something that everybody knows, and then something a little over here and but now that I've gathered, I've been doing this for about a couple of months. Well, it was research for the book, really.
Mhm.
And I find out that because I'm doing research, and so I'm looking on purpose. I'm not just a channel surfing. I'm not doing that.
Mhm.
I'm really looking. And now I've come. There's like about between 25 and 100 different pieces of information that seem pretty factual. And I don't think anybody else is gathering facts. The housewives or husband or,
Mhm.
mechanic or whatever, they see this and then they see that.
Mhm.
But now I'm gathering all this stuff, man, and it's not looking good.
Mhm.
It's just not, there's too many facts that you can dismiss as one fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, kids nowadays, whatever. But if you start to see these, no, they're talking about it and they're talking about it, and this is a fact, and this, and so my fiction, it's like Kurt Vonnegut. I don't know. Have you ever read Slaughterhouse-Five?
I have not. No.
Okay, it's a great book. If you ever want to read a book,
Uh-huh.
that's the book to read.
Hey, that's a cool title, man.
One book.
Yeah.
Slaughterhouse-Five. Okay, now it's based on his fact that he was in Dresden during the Second World War as a prisoner
Hmm.
when the troops carpet bombed Dresden
Hey.
till it was just dust. I mean, it's the most bombs ever dropped anywhere at any time ever.
Hmm.
and they just flattened the city. And luckily, he was buried in a bunker way down with a bunch of other prisoners. But when he came up, it was just flat.
Hmm.
Okay, the book is based on his real trips and emotions during the Second World War in Dresden, getting to Dresden and then trying to get out of Dresden when it was just totally bombed to a cinder. Okay. But the book is a fiction. So he based the fiction on a lot of facts and then just, massaged it, changed the names, changed the place. If several people got wounded, he gave it all to one person,
Hmm.
so that because he may not have been with that one person who was wounded all over or pretty much blown apart, but he made one because he knew they existed. Okay. So that's what my book is about. It's a fiction based on facts. I just massaged it and stuff like that.
Right.
But so now I got to check it. I got to read it and typos and all that bullshit.
Hmm.
But I'm starting to see what I wrote, just in one packet, and it's not cool, man. It's cool, but it's not what I thought I was writing. Just a little funny fantasy.
Hmm.
I mean, it starts to get to me as I'm getting halfway through, and I'm saying, "Wait a minute, this sounds like it might be happening." You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I just you mentioned books, so I was just talking about that. We could talk about some other stuff
All
because I
right.
could go forever.
Well, no, that's
Because
actually that's the whole, I think point I jumped on here, Stephen Joyner who put us in contact. He's like, "Hey, Larry's got a new book, talk to him about his new book." I'm like, I would love to hear about it. What do you have a
this is what this
title
is what
for
I'm
it?
talking about.
Yeah.
This is it. It's a funny book. I mean, there's some nice laughs in it.
Does it
But
have a
it's
title right
based
now?
on.
You said you just finished it, right? Do you have a title for
Well,
it?
I just finished it last night. It's called Loopholes. Uh,
Loopholes.
yeah, it's called Loopholes. Let me see. Oh, here it is, right here. Well, I have the cover anyway. I mean,
Nice.
I work on every part of the book. Uh,
Uh-huh.
so here. This is. Wait, let me get it up here.
Did you do
I
the
mean,
you did the art for it as well?
excuse me.
Did you do the art for it as well?
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, this is the manuscript. So this is I just finished it last night. This is the manuscript, but that's the cover.
Huh.
The Loopholes, and it's four stories. It's about politics. It's about homelessness. It's about gangs, and it's about one kid.
Hmm.
I mean, it's funny, but it's serious.
Hmm.
One of those kind of things.
Yeah.
Well, I finished reading Slaughterhouse-Five 3 times before I started writing it.
Hmm.
Um, because Kurt Vonnegut has just a great, weird, skewed look at the world. I
Hmm.
mean, just ordinary. I mean, if you go shopping, he's just got a weird, and it's really funny, but it's riveting. And yeah, like I keep on, each character talks about when it's going to happen. Well, we go out on the rocks and we smoke a doobie and we talk about, hey, is it going to happen soon? Is it going to happen later? I mean, it's sometimes guys will talk about it like that. Other times it's politicians who'll talk about, the dangers of blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
Um, and, but it's funny. I don't know how to, and also it's a relationship,
Right.
I try to, in the let me see, the single guy, Barnum Justice is his name.
Hmm.
So this is my hero. That's my hero. I
That's the
mean,
hero of the story.
in the book, Barnum Justice, and he's a runaway, and he goes through two different stories, and one is him on his own, how he sees being homeless. So it's just called How to Be Homeless. That's the name
Hmm.
of the story, and it's what I do is I was homeless years and years ago before I got into show business. Well, kind of in the start of it. That's why I got into show business. I
Right.
wanted
Yeah,
to
I
cross
was
the
going to
street.
ask you about that, right? Because I was reading a little bit about another interview you did, and when was that between like college and getting into like comedy, or was it during
It was right about, it was after college. I couldn't work. I got a degree in industrial design. I wanted to be a painter, an artist.
right?
And uh, so when I graduated, I went to the wrong college. Basically, that was it. I read it. My parents wanted me to go to college. You got to go to college. They're like second generation immigrants. You got to go to college.
Mhm.
And I want to be a painter. You don't have to go to college. I mean, you could go to school, but so I saw industrial design. And I thought, oh, design, that's like painting.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll go there, Syracuse. But it turned out it was industrial
right. That's key word.
design.
Uh-huh.
So I was designing cars and tanks and planes and shoes and lamps.
Mhm.
Nothing that had any interest whatsoever in designing. I wanted to paint them. I didn't. Okay, anyway. Uh, so I couldn't, and then I got in a fight on my graduation night.
Right. Over the
I think
girl. Yeah.
overgo, but I think it was really. I think there was like your inner DNA, that your subconscious. My subconscious just didn't want to be a designer,
Hmm.
and I think my subconscious, with no permission from me whatsoever, said, if I get into a real bad fight, maybe I can get injured enough so I don't have to become a designer.
Hmm.
Now, that I just made up, but I did get into a fight that caused me not to be an industrial designer. So I just started bussing bars. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, once you graduate college and you got a degree, you kind of life is written for you ahead. You got to follow the degree, wherever the degree, whoever wants you and the degree, that's where you work.
Right.
Detroit to design cars, Ford. I didn't want to go there. I mean, I just didn't want to go there. So
Hmm.
I got into this fight. And right after that, I started to do, because I was a funny guy, I started to do stand up. And I wasn't making enough money to really hold an apartment
Hmm.
month to month. And so finally, I thought living homeless would be the best answer, because I wanted to be in show business.
Hmm.
Like a lot of actors become waiters, or small time things where you can leave to go for an audition and come back.
Hmm.
So you can't make much money because it's really a temp job that you're getting. So instead of getting a temp job, I just said, I'm going to live in a little VW bus, an
Hmm.
old one. And a friend of mine sold me for $5, you
Hmm.
know. So I lived, so that's where I became homeless. But I lived in it for a year. So I
Wow.
got to know that. And so I got that point of view of survival and where that's going. So yeah, that was right. Dropped out of college, bust bars, but I had my nights free because I would bust bars from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Hmm.
So I could go to, and we lived in Greenwich Village, or I lived in Greenwich Village. So I was homeless, and then uh, I started to get jobs as a stand-up around until I finally I went to Chicago and then San Francisco. When I got to San Francisco is when I got really into heavy living in my car,
Hmm.
because it got more expensive as you went west
Right.
for me anyway. I mean, uh, the food and renting a place. So I just said, no, man, I'll just stay in the car. So I
Hmm.
stayed in the car for like a year, and then finally I broke into Hollywood. I got
Right.
a job in Hollywood, and then I got an agent, and then I became an
What,
actor.
just really quick, because I mean, because I'll tell you why right after, because it's kind of different now these days with influencers and stuff. But I imagine that was really hard. Like, Where did you eat? Where did you shower? Where did you do the basic life
There
things, you
you
know?
go. That's the story,
Yeah.
man. That there you go. That is what being when people say homeless, they go, well, homeless without a home,
Hmm.
general. No, yeah, that's very specific. Where do you go to the bathroom, man?
Yeah. At 4 a.m. when you got to get up and pee. Yeah.
Right in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Where do you go to the bathroom during the day? So the rule was, oh, get through today and find a safe place to sleep tonight. Boom, that was it. That was the rules. You follow those rules, those two rules, and you can make it being homeless. But those two rules are so huge, man.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you take a shower?
Hmm.
Where do you get your phone calls? How do people get in touch with you?
Yep.
I mean, it's just, I mean, so I was doing, like I say, research for Loopholes.
Hmm.
So I found a friend who is in touch with a lot of the homeless people. Here I live in Marina Del Rey, so I live near the beach,
Right.
apartment house. And so he hangs around with homeless people. He's a writer, but he writes about that point of view. He writes from a poverty point of view.
Hmm.
So he hangs around with homeless people and he gets the information and stuff. So I was talking to them recently, not way back in the day, and yeah, it's they hang around like they hang around the beach. Why the beach? Because they got public showers there.
Right.
You know, so now I wasn't near a beach when I was living homeless, so I didn't have but you start to hang around libraries because they have bathrooms there, public facility. You start to hang around where there's public facilities and showers. How do you get food? Where you go where, well, sometimes there's, homeless food shelter, food, they cook food for the homeless,
Hmm.
those kinds. But yeah, it becomes, survival becomes just a problem of the day.
Hmm.
Like
And
people who have houses, you're having a family over for the weekend. Yeah, you're not thinking about surviving. You're thinking about, well, the mortgage, okay, the food bill, okay. But you're
mhm.
not thinking about where do I go to the bathroom? You're not thinking about that.
Right.
Uh, but when you're homeless, you're not only thinking about where I'm going to go to the bathroom, but where am I going to get food and how am I? And so everything else is just, movies, entertainment.
Hmm.
That's ridiculous.
Can I say though that kind of living it builds that callous, you see, and now what's interesting
Well,
but kind of depressing though, when you think about it,
well,
you
yeah, no, the thing that kept me going was if I can do this, man, I
uh-huh.
can do anything.
Hey, there you go.
If I can, this is the challenge.
Yeah.
This is what life's about. I mean, that was just to keep me getting up every day and looking for a place to go to the bathroom. Well,
Hmm.
if I just, goddamn, and then you sleeping on friends' couches, and
Hmm.
then you run out of friends' couches because their wives. That's why is he living here? He's living here and he's eating our food.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you don't have that friend anymore.
Hmm. You
Or it's
burn
very
bridges.
difficult. Well, you can't come over the house, the wife. I mean, you start to run into crap that you never thought about before. What do
Yeah.
you mean I can't go over your house?
Hmm.
Well, the wife, I mean, then you come around and then you start timing your stuff. Well, I can't go over to, Fabian's house. Maybe if I can just drop by around 6 around dinner time.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll, share. You just try it. You just give it a shot. I mean, you have nothing to lose.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like you start building that, again, that callus because you have to. There's no safety net. Now, one thing I don't know if you're aware of this, but like I said, there's young people. They're like, you talked about the iPhone and how prevalent that is, and how it's kind of dumbing down some society. There's 20-year-olds, college kids, whatever, that these days glorify being homeless. Like they'll go and purposely be homeless and document it on Instagram and things like that and show everybody, look, I'm having a great time. Here's how I retrofit my car so I can sleep in it. Here's where I go to the gym and take a shit and shower and all that stuff. And I get free Wi-Fi from Starbucks and this and that. But see, the
Okay.
thing about that is, to me, it's so contrived because you have the safety net. You got some rich parents that are
Yeah,
gonna,
exactly, man.
and
Exactly, man. And then try to get a girlfriend while you're doing that. You
right.
think do you think a woman is going to put up with that crap?
Mm-hmm.
Well, where are we going to go tonight? Well, I don't have any money. We can sit in my car, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you start living at her place. You move in generally, and that's what I did finally. How I broke this fight. I moved in with a girl to her place, and then from there, I started to see, oh, there's another kind of life that's more quote unquote normal. And then so there from there I got a job, and then I got an apartment from there. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to do it in stages. You can't just because everybody who's homeless. Well, let me put it this way. You reminded me when I was homeless. When I was a kid, I'm talking about like 11 or 12 or 13 or 14.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, the homeless that I knew was the blind man with the German Shepherd
Mm-hmm.
and the old guy selling apples in a cart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's going a little even back further. But still, those were the cliches of homelessness that you saw. And everybody was old who was homeless
Mm-hmm.
or older. I mean, I'm not in the 20s or 30s, but I'm talking about 50s or 60s is when you became homeless and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't fun. And people just were used to it. And you see them on the street and you see beggars, you know, they were called beggars, not homeless. They were called beggars.
You
Now
mean the politically correct, the unhoused?
they're unhoused. Now it's unhoused. Yeah, and I deal with that in the book. Like nobody knows what to call each other. Are you homeless or unhoused?
Right.
It's just uh okay, so that was it. But when I became homeless, thinking, well, the old guy, the blind guy with the German Shepherd, and then the people playing the violin, not guitars, but violins. Uh, and then all of a sudden in the 60s, it started with kids. Now, what you were saying, 20 or 30s, the college kids. No, these were high school kids who didn't go to college, who just, you graduated high school. And what you did was, instead of going to college, you dropped out and you became homeless,
Mm-hmm.
just like voluntarily. And then my generation, not me, because I was going for something else, but my generation who was homeless were kids who were looking to dress in costumes, get high and drop out for 2 years, get a girlfriend, have a lot of sex, have some LSD, and then go to college. So there was just like 2 years. Everybody was in for 2 years. It was, well, it ended with Altamont, but it started with, that big thing, that big rock and roll thing in the upper New York State, that. So it was between that celebration,
Woodstock, you mean?
Woodstock,
Yeah.
Woodstock. So Woodstock, leading into Woodstock and then ending with Altamont,
Mm-hmm.
where everybody got killed and Hell's Angels. So that was a 2 year period, approximately, maybe 3 to 4, a year going in, 2 years, a year going out. But all of a sudden, kids who loved being homeless, they were in it because they had the safety net. They got mom and dad,
Right.
or they just get a job. They were young enough to just get a temp job and then get a regular job. So they had time. They had a 2 year shot of just dressing in weirdness, getting high, and smoking stuff and blah, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And then they went back into it. And I am sure, I'll bet every one of those people who I saw, hundreds. I was in San Francisco. It was like a key meeting place for all those kids.
Huh.
every one of those kids for those 2 years, I bet you now, 40, 50, 60, 70 years down the road. I mean, I bet you they're middle class, and probably some of them vote for Trump. Uh, I mean, they just forgot about that.
Right.
Just 3 years.
It was just like a rite of passage,
What?
like a rite of passage.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It
You
was just
know,
something you do now.
the way you
But
mentioned it,
it's,
where it's like, hey, you go do this for a
just
couple
then
years.
it's gone,
Yeah.
boop, and then gone. Yeah, and now it's getting to be like they're getting older and it's getting a little heavier, a little thicker. And then once you're into that thing right now, if you were like 20s to 30s
Mhm.
and homeless right now, you're thinking not you're thinking I don't think you're thinking about your old age. I think you're thinking about what's going to happen to me when I'm old.
Mhm.
There's no way of I don't know because at one point they're sitting. I got two guys sitting on a rock jetty out here, smoking a doobie, and they're talking about when is it going to end. I mean, they're already talking about that. It
Yeah.
could be 1,000 years. It could be 500 years. It could be global warming. We only got about 10, 15, 20 more years of how of dealing with it now.
Mhm.
We're dealing with it now, global warming. We got about 10 more years of dealing with it like now. And then it's going to get, and then it's going to start really getting serious. I mean, we're losing islands now.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, water, potable water, drinking water. We're running out of drinking water. How did that happen? How did Cro-Magnon man, did he ever think he would run out of water?
Right. No, absolutely not. Yeah.
What? Or firewood,
Mhm.
or a huge forest burning down,
Mhm.
or countries. I mean, all these arable land, potable water, food supply, gasoline, oil, air. I mean, yeah, I can start. I did it for the book. I myself in my room. I'm going one, two.
Mhm.
Does everybody know about this? you
Yeah.
know, all these things are happening now because the news reports like one, and then and then maybe on another channel they'll report two. But there's not many. But NASA is doing it. There are certain scientists, man. I mean, if you watch Nova, sometimes it'll like scare the hell out of me what they're reporting.
Right.
Up in Canada and the Arctic Circle. Well, we know that's disappearing. Okay, so but okay, that's disappearing. And then I just could keep on going on. I'm losing my. I mean, it just I
Hey,
don't know.
that's all the research you've done, and it ties into the stories you're telling and loopholes and everything, and you know,
Exactly. I
it's a
mean,
lot
so
of.
I put it all in the book, and I made a joke about it.
Mhm.
And I talk about it near term, I talk about it far term, and I talk about it through the eyes of ordinary people,
Mhm.
like me or you or your family, how if I gave them all the information I have doing
Mhm.
research for the book, if I just gave it to your family, I'm sure they'd, stop and go, oh, wait a minute. I never thought about that.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, like for instance, okay, they're building rockets to get to the moon. Okay, and we got to the moon, and that's pretty cool.
Right.
Now we're trying to get to Mars, and that's amazing, man. That just human beings who at one point, you know, killed, elephants with sticks, a couple of thousand years ago, maybe 3,000, 30,000, 50, I know, 300,000 years ago. You know,
Mhm.
and now we threw something at the moon, hit it, and we had guys there. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. The capsule that they went in took, I think, three, maybe, and if you did that, you could get a couple of dozen people up on the moon. The nearest planet, the nearest rock that has any kind of water at all is 300,000 light years away. What are you
Yeah.
talking about sending 4 people to the moon? What
Uh,
the fuck is that all about? I mean, there's 8 billion people on this planet. Get in line, everybody. We only got room for 5 people.
oh man.
And the trip to where there's water, you know, is there's nothing in between.
Mhm.
Like if you go on a trip to Syracuse or cross country, there's scenery. There's nothing between here and there.
Except
Nada.
time.
No,
Nothing
not a
except
rock,
time.
not a planet. It's black. It's
Uh-huh.
black all the way.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I
Yeah, and
mean,
there's people
that's
that
where that's where it brings me to.
yeah, there's people that are dreaming of vacationing there. It's like, good luck.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
It's
You
like
know,
those
and
people that
besides, I mean, we've now discovered that the sun is going to, blow up in 1 million years.
Mhm.
Well, no, no, we still haven't finished the rocket yet. Oh, no, wait. So, I mean, that's where it takes me, and then I have to just burst out laughing and go on to, finding out where I can get a haircut or, play my guitar.
Yeah.
It's and you just like shut it out because it's just too much. It's just too much.
Mhm.
So, I go shopping and I hang out with my friends and, you celebrate with your family. And that's all you can do,
Yeah.
really. There's NASA, I love that they're doing it. I love that they're working on it and they're building stuff and they're very careful and they're geniuses.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, yeah, they are. But I don't see, and then they talk about it. The scientists on NASA, they talk about, no, no, science is so great, and astronomy is so great, and space and infinity and the universe, and they're jazzed by it, and that's like jazz, like I'm jazzed about Slaughterhouse-Five. They like it. It's great. But the use of it, I mean, the best I could do with Slaughterhouse-Five is write my own book. The best they can do with that is make another rocket. But I mean, do you
Yeah.
think anybody's working on climate change in your community in Pomona?
You
How many
know,
people in Pomona are wondering about where they're going to go in 1,000 years, or
not
if their progeny are going to be around in it?
not many.
Not.
Some of them are homeless as well. Right here, we have the street called Holt. It's where all the nice prostitutes and homeless and drug dealers congregate. I guarantee they're not thinking about any of those things.
Yeah, right. And I think that street or that section, that area is going to grow. I was writing about because I was doing some research and I found out that I was saying that this Barnum Justice, who lives in his Volkswagen bus, he travels from Flat Rock, Texas, to Portland, Oregon.
Mhm.
He wants to get away from his family and everything. He's trying to get away, trying to be free. So he heads up to Portland and he finds out that it's like a needle apocalypse there. I mean, it's like, drug city.
Mhm.
So he goes to Portland, Oregon. He goes to, I don't know, a couple of cities. And each city he sees, oh, it's starting to come here. And he stays there for a year and then he moves to the next place. And then it starts to fill. And then he goes from whatever there to Portland to San Francisco. And he each time he's driven out by more homeless people.
Dang.
In other words, instead of housing being expensive, it's now homeless as being crowded or expensive. So he moved, and he finally moves down to L.A. And the beach, which is now ground zero for the United States. They're all moving. Everybody's moving west. It's warmer, but it's more expensive here. So
Mhm.
they moved kind of like this, up north, and then that was then to San Francisco, and then down, and then they start moving to Mexico. And where's that going to end up? I don't, I don't know. I
Let's
don't know.
shove them even further down to El Salvador. They're giving away free citizenship now, so why not?
Really? Is that true?
Yeah, but I think they're trying to attract like engineers and doctors and whatnot.
Oh, right.
But
Yeah.
it's bad over there
Well,
right now. It's
well,
really bad.
there's an answer, but I don't know. Again, it doesn't answer my book.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
no, for sure.
but for the near term, in other words, everybody's starting to think about the near term. You know,
Mhm.
uh, 10 or I mean, I never thought when I was a kid. I don't think my father, my family, ever thought about the future. I mean, the future to my father probably was a year or two. Rent, mortgage,
Mhm.
year or two down the road, and then got to send my kid to college. I want to send Larry to college, so that may be 5 years off. I'm on high
Mhm.
school. So 5, 10 years, you're thinking the future. Well, now with global warming, you got to think, well, maybe 15, 20, 25 years. A lot of corporations are thinking 50 years in the future. They want to be, you know, what is it called? Um Something free, animal kind of
Like cruelty
oil.
free kind of thing.
Excuse me?
Cruelty free.
What free?
Cruelty.
Oh, no, no, no. I'm talking about the oil. In other words, dinosaur fuel,
Oh, like okay, I see what you mean. All right.
animal,
Yeah, like green.
the biofuel.
Yeah, like green, going
Is
green.
causing the global warming. So
Yeah.
now, a lot of corporations are thinking 50 years, 75 years into the future. That's never happened before. We've never had to think about that far in the future. Well, if you start doing that, like NASA, you get
Mhm.
100 years, 500 years, 1,000 years. I mean, we can now predict the planet in 5,000 years. It's not going to be cool.
Right.
It's going to be really hot, and it's not going to be. It may not be viable.
Well, the question there is if we adapt or not, do we
Oh,
evolve? You know,
do we
like,
doubt? And one of the characters in my book she says, she doesn't want to talk. She wants to talk about evolution.
mhm,
This one girl, and his answer was, no, no, normalcy. She wants everything to be normal
mhm,
because everybody's talking like we're talking now. So there's this one woman who said, "Now, why can't we be normal? Why can't we talk about normal things? You're not normal.
mhm,
You're not normal." And my friend says, who's the future guy? He's a homeless future guy.
uh-huh,
He's thinking normal is anti-evolutionary.
mhm,
So uh, now we got to start thinking that way. Are we going to be normal? Because normal means let's hold it right here.
mhm,
It's okay. Let's freeze it. Everybody, whoever's not normal now is not normal forever. Everybody who's normal now is normal forever.
right.
Well, that causes extinction to come closer.
Mhm,
So normal now, soon, not now, but soon, is going to be a ridiculous word.
mhm,
Like a malaprop, or it's not going to mean anything. What do you mean normal? Normal for the next 5 minutes? Normal for a year?
mhm.
I mean, I don't think normal for 5 years is going to cut it.
Right.
You've got to evolve. We've got to evolve.
Yeah.
Now, if we evolve, like for instance, here's my. I love this because you start coming up with great, and you put them together. Okay,
Uh-huh.
dinosaur. Now, if we were alive and dinosaurs were alive at the same time, well, they'd eat us up. I mean,
Right.
big, huge things with teeth that big. I mean, come on. Okay. But now Are you going to serve chicken at your barbecue?
Yeah.
Well, do you know what a chicken was about 1 million years ago?
I don't know, maybe like relative to the pterodactyl.
A Tyrannosaurus Rex, a dinosaur.
Oh, with the little arms. Yeah.
They became wings.
Uh-huh.
In other words, scientists have tracked DNA of chickens to dinosaurs. Notice when the comet hit the Earth and killed all the dinosaurs, the only things that were left alive were tiny things that could go bore into the Earth.
Hmm.
They, like Kurt Vonnegut in Dresden, he was in bunkers.
Right.
So the fire just went. So now only small animals, which were not lizard, bird things, but animal things,
Hmm.
vertebrates, other things. Okay. So dinosaurs were really huge, and now we're eating them at barbecues as chickens.
Uh-huh.
So they went from huge fucking monsters to chickens and birds. In other words, all birds come from dinosaurs. That's like a proven fact.
Mm.
Okay. So here we are. We're king of the planet. By the way, if aliens come and attack, or if global warming, who's going to take care of the planet? Honeybees, trees, tigers, anything, whales, tuna fish? No, us.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, and if we don't save the planet, all those other species go along with us.
Right.
But who's causing global warming?
Well, we're doing the work.
Us.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thinking on AI. This is how AI thinks. AI, the reason that AI is so great and amazing is they found out how to make a computer think like human brains think, not like machines think. And human brains think by pattern formation, pattern recognition, and pattern formation.
Hmm.
That we recognize patterns and then we make bigger patterns, but it's patterns. And we like, oh, that pattern and that pattern, if we put together, oh, is this pattern? That's how we learn pattern.
Hmm.
Okay. So in a couple of thousand years, the way things are going, if dinosaurs became chickens, Homo sapiens, because the small, like elephants in some parts of the world, are very small because there's not enough food.
Hmm.
So evolution says, well, we'll eat less food, we'll get smaller. That's less food. So smaller. So
Mm.
that's evolution. That's pretty cool.
Huh.
So that's why dinosaurs became birds. The
Mm.
food, there was no food. So they had to become smaller, and over millions and millions of years, they became birds. And we didn't come until way later. So we had enough food to grow to our size. But if there's no less food, we'll get smaller. I
Hmm.
mean, evolution goes in a lot of different ways. It's choices. It's, what's going on, and we'll adjust. But one of the ways could be we get smaller, you know,
Hmm.
one of the ways.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's at one point we're going to be the chickens
Oof.
for some other things. Dinosaurs. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Humans.
yeah. I was
We're
getting
going
there.
to be we're going to be the chickens, and something else is going to be eating us.
I was gonna say we're gonna flip the tables again. It looks like, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, getting into the whole thing of the future, global warming, evolution, sustainability, which is another whole thing I get into.
Hmm.
There's one thing to survive. You can survive being homeless, not eating for a couple of days,
Hmm.
not shitting for a couple of days, or not doing anything for a couple of days.
Hmm.
Sweat. But sustainability is what evolution is based on, being around for the long haul. And then we don't think about that at all. We think we're going to be here forever. And it's going to be like this forever. It's going to be normal. No, it's not. And the only choice we have is like we can push it in a direction.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just very fascinating.
Yeah,
The book contains nothing that I've actually spoken about, but it's what I've
that's
spoken about to you is what went into the characters that are talking about
the
this.
thought
Like
the
we're
thought
talking about
process.
it,
Yeah, it's
you
like
know?
the thought process of getting there. So it's like,
Yeah,
uh,
and each person has a different, viewpoint of what it's going to be like and what we have to do.
mm,
And it's all over the place, man. NASA's trying to make a one little ball, a tight, steely ball of wax of the whole thing. Well, this is it. This is the problem. We've got it solved. It doesn't work that way. I mean, and every day we're finding out new stuff and new threats.
mm-hmm.
Some meteor coming at us, and we're figuring out how. Yeah, never mind all that. What we just talked about. That forget all that. If one rock from outer space hits Earth,
Uh-huh.
never mind global warming.
Well, that and recently, all these people were terrified of a natural phenomenon known as an eclipse that happens.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, what's the big deal?
Right? Yeah, I was
Well,
like, I was,
what?
I
It
was,
can blind you, by the way. If you look at it,
I,
you
yeah,
get.
right, exactly. I was at work, right, and every week I train new hires at work. I'm part of the onboarding process. I'm a trainer,
Oh, okay.
and half the people called out. I think it was probably due to the eclipse.
Oh,
And
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm looking at, like, I'm expecting X amount, and half of them rescheduled.
Oh,
Like,
that's amazing.
yeah,
I mean, see that well, it didn't frighten me, but it made me reconsider the intelligence of Homo sapiens. I
people,
mean,
people. I'm just gonna say it. People are getting dumber. Yeah.
well, okay, and I'm going to even add something to that. And even if they aren't getting dumber,
Mhm.
they're not smart enough,
They're
right?
driven by fear,
Well, and then the fear adds to that, dampens down even your ability to
comprehend things.
patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even if we had no global warming and no rocks or anything else or whatever, no, I mean, I don't think we're very intelligent. I gotta say,
Mm.
as vertebrates go, we're pretty cool. We're very smart.
Mhm.
But there's oh, what is it? I don't know. There's a free will, and there's another one that free will, and
Mm.
I don't know. But if we forget about that, if there was no free will, if we stayed as intelligent as we are right now, we're
Mhm.
not going to make it. We have to get more intelligent, not less. I guess that's what I'm saying. We have to get more intelligent, not less intelligent. So that's a way to evolve, get more intelligent.
Mhm.
But the way we're doing it is we're making ourselves less intelligent, and nobody's thinking about that.
Mhm.
Nobody's
Well,
thinking about. So
it's
maybe AI is going to be in other words, we've given our intelligence to AI.
yeah, that's exactly where I'm going, because it writes people's papers, it writes people's emails. Listen, there's people out there that don't know the numbers of the freeways here because they depend so heavily on, their phone telling them where to go. You know,
Exactly. Yeah. In
yeah.
other words, every time I pick up my phone, the other day for the first time, this is yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We were driving somewhere and we lost the address.
Mm-hmm.
Going to a show or some play. We lost the address. So now I've seen friends do this a million times over the years. I've never done it. I have my cell phone, and I thought, we're lost, we're on the freeway. And I go, I've seen this done. I wonder if I could do it. And I
Mm-hmm.
go, Siri, where is the Odyssey? And Siri tells me. It tells me where the Odyssey is. I just picked up my phone in the middle of LA, and I thought, now, two things blew my mind. One is that I had never done that before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like I'm a Cro-Magnon man. I mean, who doesn't talk to Siri? Come on. And that was the first time last night. The second thing is, holy cow, I've given my intelligence, like you said, to my cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look up anything. I can keep driving with one hand. And I said, where's the Odyssey? And it told me. And I gave it to my friend. I said, read it and just tell me where to go. And it gave it the map. It even gave me the map to it.
Right.
Now, that's new to me. That blows my mind. I mean, to you, probably you do that all the time. I mean, there's a lot of people who do it. I see it all the time. My friends do it all the time.
Right.
But I think I'm in the minority, definitely. But I think I'm becoming the majority. That's scary.
Well, see,
I don't
Larry,
want to be the one who doesn't use any digital,
the,
and it's but AI is going to maybe save the day. They say it's dangerous.
can be.
Um, what?
Well, it can be. I was just about to say, with everything we're talking about, to me, Larry, I think it's more so about how you use the tools, because you can't just let the tool do the work. You can't let the tool be your brain. It's how you use it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, see, you're intelligent, man, and I can't talk to you because you're fucking. You fucking give me new ideas. You're taking it in another direction. I mean, what the hell's going on? but yeah, there's more people who would, do this. You would get some better answers. This is what AI does. What you just said. No, we can do. But here's another thing I found out about AI, which is kind of scary, because it says how AI actually thinks, which is different than how other digital machines think. First of all, it can talk in your language.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
you don't type in anything. You ask it questions. Say, hey, Siri. And this was a question they asked, not Siri, AI. But this is a question that scientists seriously asked AI, thinking that it was intelligent enough, more intelligent than we are right now, to give a complete, valid answer to the question. And the question was, AI, how can we solve in the best way possible global warming? And AI said, and it gives you an answer, it talks back to you. It says, get rid of human beings.
Ooh.
Boom!
Oh.
Now, what I gather from that is that's an answer.
Mm-hmm.
A, it's a valid answer. B is not only that, but it is the quickest answer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the surest answer. It's valid. But of course, we don't want to do that.
Right.
But that's the danger scientists see in AI. It gives you the right answer, not the one you desire.
Right.
Like I see somewhere in the book, I say, there's no, yeah, but is there another one? Another answer. Yeah, but is there another answer? Good. Siri, how do we cure global warming? Get rid of Homo sapiens.
I mean,
I want you to see this. My
uh-huh.
phone is on. It says climate change could affect human evolution. Here's how.
Yeah.
The fuck, man? Why would my phone just joined the conversation?
Yeah.
That's AI, man.
Well, I don't know if you've ever done this, but like you're talking about like a certain, maybe a product or something you like, and then you log on to Facebook, all of a sudden all the ads are geared toward what you were talking about. It's like they were reading your
Yeah.
goddamn mind,
Yeah. So I mean, like, this is a great topic. Obviously, I think I picked the right topic for my next book.
Oh yeah.
Uh, but and it's fun to talk about, and it just goes in a whole bunch of different directions, and everybody, even the stupid of us, has a valid answer to what we're talking about, or can join in on the conversation.
Mhm.
You just it's such a big topic that you can just pour in a lot of information, and some of it you can use. Even the stupid stuff, part of it. Okay, um, that's never happened before. That's um, we're talking about global stuff. We're talking about the planet now. Maybe the United States, maybe the northern hemisphere, but we're talking about planet, but nobody consider it as valid. It's just stuff to talk about. But I think this is what it's going to take. Um, I just, I don't know. I just think I got the right thing, but I think I've talked myself into or I've researched myself into a corner because I found out with this book, it's finished now, but in the next, by the time it comes out, which will be about maybe a year, hopefully 6 months, but I don't think so,
Okay.
maybe a year or more. But in a year or more, a lot of the stuff I wrote is going to be silliness, because new information is going to blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
I know that I've been writing the book for a year. And a lot of the stuff I gathered from other writings that I've done just along the way. You put it in a drawer and you think someday. And I
Mhm.
started to go through all my drawers and pulling out stuff. Oh, this would be good for it. Yeah. Oh, this would be good. Yeah. So a lot of stuff comes from like maybe 10 years ago, my thinking on global warming 10 years ago.
Oh wow. So just
Yeah.
collecting all those thoughts. Yeah.
But so in other words, some person in a character could be thinking this, but now it's obsolete.
Mhm.
But it's valid because some
That's
people think like that.
right,
Okay,
because that's what you were thinking years ago. Now,
exactly. But in the so now I have to read it just for typos. So I just have to read it from cover to cover, see what I wrote.
mhm.
And already I started to read last night, and I got about a quarter of the way through, and I thought, a lot of this stuff is like not valid anymore. So I had to like make little changes, little tweaks, just to
Mhm.
bring it a little more up to date. And that's just a year
Right.
writing it. That's just
Yeah.
another year, And of course, knowledge, by the way, digital said that knowledge multiplies 2 to 4 times. Each generation is 2 to 4 times smarter than the next generation. That was digital.
Mhm.
That was 10 years ago.
Mhm.
When digital first came, it's going to revolutionize. And they say, well, how is it going to revolutionize? Well, each generation will be 2 to 4 times smarter than the generation it just followed.
Well,
So,
I'm like,
so
that's up for
AI
debate.
is even faster, way, way, way faster.
Mhm.
So, in about 5 years, AI is going to be that's going to be the danger. But also, it's going to be smart enough to maybe figure out some stuff that we're not,
Right.
capable.
Hopefully, right? Now, Larry, yeah, hopefully. I really like the whole concept of the book, and I'm looking forward to reading it because I did enjoy your last book, and I'm not a reader, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how you frame all of these thoughts into like something funny, and how the story's told. But yeah, man, hopefully in that 6 months, maybe or a year, we start seeing it up, and I know a lot of people read your last book, and they all enjoyed it, so.
Oh, cool! Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
So looking forward to it for sure. I wanted to ask one last thing real quick. We were coming up on a little over an hour again. We always get into it, man. So I'm wondering. I'm thinking that's why we've been on so many times together. But I wanted to check real quick. You you did like one like show like in Santa Monica recently, right?
Oh yeah,
Are you planning on doing any more like
yeah,
shows?
yeah. That was a fluke, and because here's the thing: when I first started in show business, from the bussing bars, I
Mm-hmm.
went into coffee houses, and I did the same thing. Now
Mm,
this is 19, 1962.
Oh.
So I was a kid. But I would get up on stage, a little fearless, but I never knew that it could be made into something. I didn't think that far ahead. I
Mhm.
just got up on stage and I wasn't that funny, because making people laugh in an audience is not like making friends laugh. It's
Right.
different. But you get the hang of it, and I was a funny guy, and I got a little hunk here and there. And okay, so okay, now it's starting all over, and then they disappear because then it was arena shows and rock and roll. It had nothing to do with comedy.
Mhm.
So you would open maybe for the Lovin' Spoonful or something. But now, so all the coffee houses, uh, comedy shows disappeared for years,
Mhm.
from 70, from 80 to like 2010.
Mhm.
There was nothing. There was no place to go. And then they started up, but they an addition, they learned something. And the addition kind of cut me out. And it was you had to have well, 3 to 5 minutes always was. You can get up on stage for 3 to 5 minutes, try out whatever,
Mhm.
fine. On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, because nobody showed up in a coffee house. You get up people. Okay, but now um, you can get now it's 5 to 10 minutes, so they give you a little more time, but you have to have 5 to 10 minutes and no more.
Mhm.
They'll pull you off the stage.
Mhm.
It's now it's serious. You have to have to. So when I went on to the Crow, they invited me because I thought the show was kind of cool. They had people going up there, trying out stuff. 10 minutes, and then they flash the light. Get off the stage,
Mhm.
and okay. So wherever. So they asked me, would you like to do that? Because they recognize me from TV.
Mhm.
So they go, would you like to get up there? Because I told them, I said, geez, they're really good, even though they're, young and trying out stuff.
Right.
It's enjoyable. And I used to do that, so I'm used to it. She said, would you like to do that? And I said, yeah. And they said, okay, come in a month. And I said, well, I'll try to put something together. I hadn't done it since I was a kid, but I
Mhm.
remember doing it. And I thought, oh, let me try it. It's very interesting. So I try to, but everything I read the book, my own book, that guy, I figured I'd take something out of the book because I know it's written, it's down, it's funny, it's good. Okay. But nothing was 10 minutes. Everything was longer or
Uh-huh.
what was longer. Everything was longer. So I took the Home Alone story, the story I tell about Home Alone and how much money I got for it and why.
Uh-huh.
And it was very funny to me, seemed funny reading it. And I thought, well, maybe I could just get it down to 10 minutes.
Mhm.
So I worked on it for the entire month. It took me a month because I was out of practice of writing comedy and stand up. But wow, that's totally different again. Okay, so I got it down and I went on and I killed out of nowhere, man. I mean, and there were luckily two things. It was taped video,
Mhm.
and a good friend was in the audience at the time. Just luck. And I watched the tape and I got his, input. And he said, "Hey, man, you got it, man," because he saw me back in the day when I was
Uh-huh.
a stand comedian. He says, "Man, you still got it. You can do it, man. That's so cool." That's what gave me the idea to take my writings and put it on a stage. So the answer is, yeah, I'm going to do it. But here's the twist, the down part of it is it took me a month to get 10 minutes
Uh-huh.
and it was already written down in the book. It took me 10 minutes. I have tried, they've invited me back to do another one in another
Okay.
month. I can't get another 10 minutes, man.
Mm.
Well, I mean, I can, but it's taken me it's hard. It's way harder than when I was a kid.
Mhm.
When I was a kid, man, I was fearless. I didn't care. There was no way to do it. You just got up there and did it.
Mhm.
Saw the light, you got off. Boom. Wait a minute, I got to get rid of this. Boom, cancel. So now I got a month and I'm looking for stuff, reading my books and everything like that. But everything is either, 2 minutes or 15 or 20 minutes. When they said to me, the first time, they said, come on, get up and do it. And I got it. I finally squeezed it down to 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, this was a saving grace. I said, because there was just a bunch of, young stand-up comedians, and I was this old guy with gray hair. Everybody else was like in their 20s,
Uh-huh.
bump, 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 and they got 10 people. So I said, look, when I came in, they said, oh, glad you showed up. Great. So I said, look, can you put me on last? And they go, oh, yeah, well, we're going to do that anyway. Now, I think they're going to do that last because they figure I'm famous, so put the famous guy on last.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I figured. I don't know. So I said, oh, great. Thank you. That's why. Now, the reason that I wanted to go on last was because if I couldn't keep it to 10 minutes, if it went over to 11 or 12, I wanted to finish the story and not be cut off by the light. So if you go
Right.
last, they'll give me a couple of more minutes.
And you won't get anybody else's time cut. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to crowd everybody else out.
Okay.
So, okay. So they said fine, and that was great. And they introduced me, and I went on last. My story, my 10-minute story, took 20 minutes to
Ooh.
tell. Now, like I say, it got a standing ovation. Well, because everybody else was like amateurs. I mean, I had it written, I had worked on, I'm not kidding around, man. I'm a pro. So, in other words, my competition was just amateurs trying to be funny for 10 minutes. So that's why but it was really funny because I watched the tape several times.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it was good. It was well constructed. I hit the stations of the cross of stand up. I got it. Okay. But I don't know if I could, it was so hard that to get an hour's worth of stand up, because that's what I want to do. The point is to do a one man show.
Wow.
Yeah. So with these two books, I think I might have enough material to massage it into talking to an audience. And I have gotten, since I did that Crow, it's a Crow, the Crow is the name of the place.
The venue. Yeah.
This is a long answer to what you asked for a short question. But because I did the Crow, word got around. So I keep on getting invited to stage shows where they do one-man shows of stand-up,
Okay.
but a stage show. So they're very small, little black box theaters, 100 seat, 200 seat, but it's a place to work out,
Yeah.
like the coffee houses. But I'm hesitating, saying, yeah, I'll do it because I get the invitations, but I don't have the material. I don't want to do another, yeah, I can do 10 minutes and then be pulled off the stage after 15 and I'm not even finished.
Well, I don't know, Larry. I think you should look at it and approach it like the same way you approach that homelessness, man. Just how am I going to get it through it today, right?
There you go. See, I mean, yeah, you're okay. Okay, you can be my manager
Hey,
or my friend or
I already
whatever.
know. I already know some pizza places that have comedy shows at some
Yeah, right.
breweries, right?
Hey,
Some
cool,
little
man.
venues.
Exactly. Nothing larger than 150 seats, for a
Because
while.
it's really
And no
big right
lights.
now.
Excuse me?
It's really big right now. A lot of people are getting back into comedy, like going to comedy shows.
Yes,
You
yes. So
know?
that's another thing that's driving me towards it.
Hmm.
And when I was first homeless, homeless was in the air.
Hmm.
It wasn't like I just came up with I'm going to be homeless. No, it was there. It was, in other words, there was a platform already that I could sort of fit into, and I see it now around here. And I guess even in the hinterlands, like in what is it? Where are you in
Pomona?
Pomona?
Yeah.
I think in the outer regions of states, not like New York City or Chicago,
Hmm.
but like Pomona and like Kalamazoo, and like, they're even more than
Oh yeah.
around here.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
you need the
well,
entertainment, and we
you
got,
know,
movies and everything else.
obviously we got LA, Los Angeles, right? But I'm talking about there's like, West Covina, there's a comedy,
That's what I'm talking
venue there.
about. Yeah.
There's like El Monte, I mentioned a pizza place. They have an old pizza place that now starts doing comedy every Thursday night, right there. There's places in Bellflower. There's
Oh
places in
man,
Union.
here
Yeah.
it comes. No, this is what I sensed when I stopped doing bars and started working coffee houses. This is what I heard. What
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about. So that'll wash some of the future stuff out of my mind. I
There
can
you
just
go, man.
concentrate on the now for now.
Well,
But
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I want to hear
Yeah.
is pizza places.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
homegrown stuff, man.
hmm and you get a really
At the
like
root.
organic, genuine audience at that point. So yeah.
Exactly. Real people, not, pros, the CEOs who come in, from the towers
Hmm.
in Hollywood. No, they don't know. They follow the money. They
Uh-huh.
really do. But if you got a lot of money or you're pulling in a lot of money, you're big.
Hmm.
But if you're unknown, pizza places, man. Yeah,
Well,
that's what I need. Like the Crow. The Crow is only, I don't know, I think it's like 90 seats. But it's really cool. It's like a tiny little nightclub. Very, very cool. It's not like this Abil. It's cool. It's like a nightclub, but like,
nice.
and it's great. And you get up on a stage and a microphone, and a curtain, but it's only, this big. So,
Uh-huh.
you know, but it's professional,
Hmm.
I mean, professional made. And yeah, one of the, it turns out, I found out, the owner of it, her husband, is a major movie set designer. So
Okay.
he got his crew to come in from a
Yeah.
major movie to design this little thing for his wife.
Wow.
Beautiful, man. So yeah, it's not foreboding. I didn't have any, I wasn't afraid of getting up on a stage and just talking with my hair gray and all these kids coming up before me. It wasn't frightening. It was cool. It was nice. But it's nice to hear. You're the first one who's given me the clue that it's starting out in the hinterlands.
Yeah. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
that's it. So yes, the short answer is yeah, I'm gonna
Very
do
good. Well, then I'm looking forward to all things Larry Hankin coming up, man, because whether it's a book or whether it's comedy, I'm sure people out there, they're curious. They want to see it. So I'll definitely make sure to post any updates that you share with people so they can go check you out
Oh,
or check
okay,
out your
fine.
book.
I'll give you some updates you can,
Yeah.
if you want, if you want.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime. But other than that, again, it was great talking to you, man. Every time, so we always get deep
Always got
into it.
something. Okay.
Yeah.
Looking
But
forward to the next one. Take it easy there.
absolutely, man. But I appreciate it for everybody listening at home. I appreciate you. Thank you. Fucking good
Thank
night.
you, Fabian.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Bye, bye, bye.
Ignorance and strain. Ignorance and strain. Ignorance and strain. Ignorance and strain.
Subscribe to the Ignorance is Strength podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Like, follow, and share on Facebook and Instagram at Ignorance is Strength Podcast and on Twitter at The Ignorance Pod.